Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ida Farhat. Welcome to Conscious Heart Solutions. I want to, again, thank my guests, Emma Broomhall, right? Did I say it correct this time? Very good. Okay. Emma Broomhall, for coming on. We are co-creating a series based or focused on shadow work. And last week we had a show where we did an introduction, just giving kind of a feeler into what shadow work is and how you get to it or begin it in your spiritual development. So I don't want to talk too long. I do have some of the work that Emma has sent me for my own self work and doing shadow work. She sent me a package for me to reference for my own spiritual development and to learn more about how to get to the deeper parts of ourselves for integration and healing. So welcome, Emma.
Hello, Ida.
Being here, very good.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to do this work. Is there anything you want to share before I go forward?
I am just so happy to be here. I'm so happy to get this work and the word about this work out. So yeah, I'm just really excited. I'm very excited.
Yes, I am super excited, and I hope the goal is in doing these videos or this series of shadow work topics, the topics around shadow work, is to help those of you that are newly awakening or have experienced the dark night of the soul and not necessarily have a support group that you would like, to feel more supported and guided and to understand or more importantly, understand some of the experiences that you're going through. So Emma has definitely been on this journey for a very long time in spiritual development, and I have as well, although I hold a great deal of respect and appreciation for her and her work and being a friend with her on Facebook. I've learned a great deal just in her postings. So I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then we're going to open the show up for 45 minutes. You will elaborate, share the content that you want to share, and then we'll open up to a more open dialogue and see if we can get some good information out there for the listeners.
Awesome. Perfect.
Very good. Okay, so what is shadow? This is out of the workbook that Emma sent me. Your shadows are the dark side, a composite of, your shadows are your dark side, a composite of all you keep hidden from owning within your, a composite of all you keep hidden from owning within yourself. The journey of shadow synthesis is the voyage of soul reclamation, discovering, then reintegrating the disassociated soul fragments you carry that bleed life force in the drain charge. Your shadow cells house all the parts of you that you are sabotaging, you from creating the authentic soul embodied existence that is your birthright. Your shadows contain your less than pristine qualities, your unprocessed pain, trauma, loss, and abandonment hidden in your unconscious. Also, your shadow conceals and contains hidden hatred, jealousy, depression, hopelessness, low self-esteem, and all the false beliefs and scared character flaws such as narcissism, a self-serving nature, cruelty and heartlessness, insecurity, fear, and terror. In this dualistic realm, we all carry dark and light, victim and predator traits, are passed down through your ancestral DNA. Whatever holds you back from being the loving, creative, joyful, constructive person capable of staying present, connecting, creating, sharing, giving, and receiving, speaking, and embodying your unique truth in your shadow. I hope that was clear for everybody. I kind of got tongue-tied and blame it on Mercury retrograde. I mean, communication is
honestly.
Yeah, because it's
Well, put very simply, Our shadows are created by our ego, really. And our ego, most people think our ego is something so horrible and so something to be scared of, or something to be destroyed or brought down, and it really, really isn't. Our ego is just another broken off aspect of ourselves. It's a big one, but our ego has always been there to help us, protect us, keep us safe, keep us out of harm's way, and assesses every kind of situation that we come into contact with. So now, from when we're very young, the ego develops, and it also develops a sense of, like I say, a sense of security for us. And this is where, when things happen to us or happen in our lives and we make them mean something, like I say, these traumas, these situations in our lifestyles that aren't necessarily, good, and because most people do have trauma at some point in their lives. When this happens, a piece of us breaks off. If you think of us like a lovely glass vase, trauma and everything that happens within us breaks that lovely glass vase. And shadow work is really bringing back every single broken piece, and putting it back together. Putting it back together to bring us back to wholeness. I think I mentioned this. The Japanese, if they have a broken vase or a broken bowl, they actually mend it with gold, so it's actually more beautiful after it's broken and has been mended. So that's very much like shadow work, bringing those broken pieces back and putting them back together so we can be whole again. That's the essence of shadow work. And yes, we all hold narcissistic traits, we all hold jealousy, we also hold fear and rage and despair, and we hold all of these emotions within ourselves, and a lot of these are so suppressed and oppressed, and because of that, our ego keeps them down there, and because of that, because they're so suppressed, we then act out the pain. So instead of expressing all of that hurt and trauma and resolving it and processing it, we subdue it, and then we act out in our terror, in our rage, in our fear, in our judgment. And so that's very simply what shadow work is, to bring back those broken pieces of ourselves that have been broken off since we were children. I hope that makes sense.
No, that was fabulous. Very detailed. I appreciate it. So okay, so you have content that you're going to share with us? Is that what okay. Do you want to begin with that rather than, because I know the second half, so everybody knows we're running about 90 minutes. So around 4:00, we'll end part one. Of course, we'll pick up, next week we won't be able to pick up, the following week we'll do part two. But so do you want to, whatever you want to present, please do share.
Well, tonight, like I say, tonight we were going to talk about the dark night of the soul, purely because this is where almost everybody finds out about shadow work or about other modalities of personal development, whether that be just meditation, yoga, breath work, you name it, access consciousness, you name it, whatever. And the dark night of the soul is usually somebody's first experience of themselves, of meeting themselves, and of becoming aware of themselves. And a lot of people get scared and confused at this time. Even people who do personal development ebb and flow in and out of the dark night of the soul, because it's like I say, it's always an unfolding of ourselves, always an unfolding. But the dark night of the soul is usually the first port of call, or the first experience that people have of themselves. And so I've got a few notes, so I'll just go through a little bit of what I've taken. Please. So when I actually searched for the definition of a dark night of the soul, the dark night of the soul, my definition of it is usually when all of our unconscious becomes conscious, or starts to become conscious, because we have asked we have asked for the truth, we've asked for answers, we have started to become ready for, because our searching has brought us to a certain point, and now we're ready for the next step, but we don't know what we're ready for, and we don't actually know what we're asking for. We just like, what's going on? I need something, I need some answers, because nothing means anything anymore. And so this is usually for people's first port of call, and we can get scared, we can get anxious, we can get very fearful, because a lot of things can happen during this phase of our lives. So let me get onto some notes. So that my definition is, it's when all the unconscious is being brought into consciousness and becoming and we ourselves are becoming aware of it. But the definition I found is quite sort of like, I don't know, a period of spiritual desolation suffered by a mystic in which all sense of consolation is removed. So so basically, it's usually when we come within a problem and that kind of thing, we console ourselves or we console other people. But when we have a dark night of the soul, all of that kind of disappears. We have no consolation. There's no comfort for us. We're lost, and we're not finding comfort in anything that we usually find meaning in. So, and it's not that we lose anything, it's just that we because our consciousness is shifting, we're not losing anything, just things just fall away, but it feels like they're being taken, or depending on our perception, you say, on how we react to it. So I came across this. Eckhart Tolle, or Eckhart Tolle, depending on how you pronounce his name, says this about the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul is a term that goes back a long time. It is a term used to describe what one could call a collapse of perceived meaning in life, an eruption into our lives of a deep sense of meaninglessness. The inner state in some cases is very close to what is conventionally called depression. Nothing makes sense anymore. There is no purpose to anything. So the dark night of the soul, everything falls away, like I say, all of our unconscious thoughts suddenly become conscious. So we start to really hear ourselves talk negatively to ourselves. Oh, I don't think I deserve this, I don't think I want this, or I don't think I'm good enough for that, or my mum thinks this about me, or my dad thinks that about me, or what if I do this, somebody's going to think that of me, or people are going to judge me if I say this, and I can't be myself because of that. And everything that we've been suppressing all of our lives, all of a sudden the volume is turned up to maximum. Both speakers, both sides, they're turned up to maximum, and you can't turn that bugger off. There's no turning it off. You cannot turn yourself off. But like I say, because we've not been listening for all that time, but because all of a sudden we've come to a point in our lives where we want something different, we know there's something more, we're craving for something more, and then so all of a sudden that volume gets turned up. Our soul goes, okay, you wanted it, you've got it. And like I say, the volume gets turned up. So why does it happen? Because we want to know the truth, because we're ready. And when we start to really turn inwards and ask ourselves these questions of ourselves, this is when everything starts to change. This is when everything can go topsy-turvy. This can where everything sort of just like becomes a real aha moment and big realizations. It all depends on how we receive things and how we react to things and how things trigger us. So like I say, when we turn ourselves inwards and we start to hear this talk that we're giving ourselves, this is where the shadow work comes in, because this is where the awareness starts to come in. And because most of us are afraid of our inner thoughts and our inner emotions, we don't want to listen to them because we don't want to hear what they say. We don't want to know that we're not good enough. We don't want to hear that we're not smart enough or beautiful enough and yada, yada, yada. So we turn it off, or as much as we turn away from it as much as we can. We're actually programmed in. Yes, please.
No. Well, I was going to say, so you're saying we don't want to know that we're not good enough. These are not real. These are false beliefs about ourselves. These are conditioned. Right. Yeah. I just want to be clear for those that will be listening. It's not that we don't want to believe that we're not good enough. We tell ourselves that we're not good enough. Therefore, we hold ourselves back from feeling the feeling or finding the cause, and we shove it down more and we carry on in life, and we never really heal and integrate the things that need to be. Anyway,
That's it.
that's it. I just
That's
want
it.
to
That's
clarify
exactly,
that
that's
because I know
it.
that, yeah.
Yeah, because when, like I say, when we start becoming aware of ourselves, like I say, this is the first port of call that people actually get to hear themselves and really, really hear themselves. And like I say, face it. And this is where facing our shadow comes in. And so sometimes it can be a little bit tough to listen to those voices, because even though they're there in the back of our minds all the time, it's society does condition us to look away from that, to turn away from diving into ourselves and really reclaiming our power. You know what I mean? So that's, they don't want us to look into the shadow. They don't want us to become conscious. You know, the powers that be don't want that. So through integration of the shadow, we begin to hear ourselves, understand ourselves, see ourselves, become aware of ourselves. Oh, I'm so, excuse me, my phone's just going off there. And we begin to then get in contact and in connection with our divine self, our divine being, our hearts and our center. So even though the dark night of the soul can seem really scary and really depressing, actually it's a doorway. It's a doorway, and it's an opportunity for us to open up and really start to be connected to ourselves. So like I say, even though shadow work can sound a bit dark and a bit, you know, scary, and even a dark night of the soul, it's an opportunity, it's a pathway, it's a spiritual pathway, so that we can learn about ourselves, open up and be connected more to our heart. So
can I ask you what happens? Well, how do you know that you're having a dark night of the soul, or your
okay.
or experience? Like, what are some of the symptoms of that?
Okay, so some of the things that people can notice, and again, I've written down a few notes about this. So we're usually so fast-paced and so in momentum all the time. Got to go to work, got to have the family, got to do this, got to pay the bills, da 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 da. Everything, when one of the things that we can experience is everything kind of like comes to a halt or slows down, and even though we're doing things in our daily lives, it just feels or seems like we're trudging through treacle. It's just like an effort to do everything. It's like, oh my god, we're dragging like 6-ton weights behind us, and you know, we're just trying everything's just such an effort. So things tend to slow down. We can experience things externally, like losing relationships, losing our job. What else did I see? And again, like I say, any kind of negative talk comes to the forefront. And so things that we don't necessarily feel that we have control over start to fall away. Like I say, we start to lose relationships, or we end relationships, or relationships end with us. We you know, been made redundant, or anything that is out of our control. But really, our internal world is the secret is our internal world is shifting. So everything, our old identity, everything old and unwanted or unneeded about ourselves is falling away. So if it has to fall away internally, it has to fall away externally. And so people tend to think, oh, this has happened to me and then I'm going to go into victimhood. But really, it's our internal shifting that then affects our external world. So there is a correlation there, but lots of people, when we first come across this, don't really make the connection. So another one is all the dreams of destruction and our downfall always comes to mind. Oh, this is going to happen to me. This is, you know, I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to make this. I'm never going to do that. All of those kind of things. Even concepts that we've had about our lives, the way we arrange the world around us, the way we feel about the world around us, and then we live in that life pertaining to our perception of it. I know that sounds a little bit confusing, but like I say, all of a sudden our perception of the world changes, and so our concepts and not just beliefs are questioned, and this is where cognitive dissonance can come in, where our beliefs are challenged, where we've believed something for so long, but then something else comes along that we really resonate with, but it's so against something that we've stuck with for so, you know, so concepts and all of that kind of thing start to fall away. And again, it can seem such a drastic thing. It's like everybody goes into panic mode, but really, if we understand this about what's happening in our lives, we can kind of ride the turbulence, we can ride the waves, as long as we understand what's going on, and really just get to grips with it, rather than be so rabbit in headlights. So again, something else, everything loses its meaning. Everything loses its meaning. Everything we do, everything we say, nothing means anything anymore. Nothing feels like it means anything more. Even like, say, family relationships, our own relationships. I remember when I was a young girl having very much one kind of relationship, because I was looking for the father figure. I was looking for certain things. And when I actually grew and matured, actually really matured inside and in my mind, and grew within myself, my relationships changed as well. So all my old beliefs and all my old wants of relationships fell away, and everything's kind of shifted. And then, like, say, new people started coming into my life, new relationships started coming into my life, about things I was more aligned with, values I was more aligned with, rather than just a quick fix, you know, the bad boy or that kind of thing. And so
Yes.
I was beginning to align with my values more, align with my soul more. And then so relationships, like I say, old relationships fall away and new ones coming. So that's why all of a sudden things don't mean anything anymore. Things that meant a lot to us when we were 17 mean absolutely nothing to us now.
Sure.
You know, so things like that fall away. And again, we can feel so heavy. Our energy can feel so dense and so heavy. Like I say, it feels like we're trudging through treacle, or, you know, we've got bricks hanging on our feet. And it's very easy to fall into the trap of victimhood and not feeling very good about ourselves, and feeling very insecure, and feeling very needy, and acting out with all those emotions. And we usually do that with people that we're closest to. Why aren't you doing this for me? I expect you to do that for me. Why aren't you making me happy this? Why aren't you doing me that for me that? You know, and things like this, where we should really rely upon ourselves to bring our own energy up, to rely on ourselves to go, you know, to hold back and go, okay, I need to look at me here, and not expect anybody else or depend on anybody else to do things that only I can understand, that I can do for me. You know, so how can we expect anybody else to be mind readers, really, when we have to deal with our own internal selves?
Right.
So there's a few signs there. There's just the constant sort of beating up of ourselves, really, the drudgery, that we can't lift ourselves up, it's all so hard, and, you know, it's just too much, and we want to escape. One of the big things is, and this used to happen with me all the time, I wanted to escape. We either want to escape with drugs, food, we want to run away and hide, you know, and just basically escape and leave everything behind. And even to certain extremes where people want to end their lives, you know, it can even get that far, because if we don't understand really what is going on with us mentally and emotionally in our hearts, it can be so soul destroying. We don't know what's going on. And if nobody ever taught us how to be mindful or how to be emotionally intelligent, how on earth are we expected to work all of these things out? And unfortunately, and it's so sad, but this is where a lot of suicides come in, because nobody actually teaches us how to be emotionally intelligent. And this is one of the reasons why I find shadow work so important, because it gives us and teaches us, it gives us a relationship with ourselves. It teaches us to know ourselves at such a deep and profound level that nobody else can ever know, you know. And so it's like I say, when we become self-responsible, and when we turn that mirror on ourselves, it's once we become aware, it's our duty to grow. You know, once that door is opened, I feel it's our duty to grow once we know. So some of the things that we can use to get through, like I say, the dark night of the soul. I mean, because we can always, the hope is, and the good news is, we can always turn it around when we actually realize where we are. Because when we're in a dark night of the soul, we never know that we're in there. It's just like, oh, get out, excuse my language.
No,
Crap,
I get it. Yes.
crap, shit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good English word, that one. And it's when you're in it, you just don't see it. And usually the reason why we're in it doesn't normally come apparent until we're actually out of it. And it's like, oh, that's what I had to go all through all that for, and so we usually get the ahas at the very end. But there are always lots of things that we can do to help ourselves, that we can do in any one given moment, which is why I absolutely love this work, and which is why it's so important to get this help out there, the word out there, because people can help themselves. Yes. People can help themselves. You don't have to wait for anybody to give you permission.
That's right. There you go. That's right. That's right. Now you're getting me hyped up. I'm good. Yes.
You don't have to wait for the government to give you permission. You don't have to wait for mummy and daddy. Yeah. The government aren't coming to save us. Mummy and daddy isn't coming to save us. You know what I mean? We do not have to wait for permission. We can give ourselves absolute full permission. So, and I like I say, you can get it ramped up now. You can get excited.
Yeah, me too. That's why I just love your energy so much, and I love being able to do this with you. It means so much to me. It really does, because you speak my language. You really do.
You've got to get.
You may not articulate the same way, but we are saying the same thing.
Exactly.
We do articulate very commonly, but we are saying our hearts are in it in the same way, and I appreciate it so much from you. Please continue. Go ahead.
That's it. I mean, we've got to get deep. We do have to get a little bit dark, but it isn't hopeless. Yeah. And like I say, we can have fun with this. We can actually get excited about realizing things about ourselves that actually sort of, okay, is being aware is something coming up here. It's like, oh, right. Okay. This is exciting. I get to grow. You know what I mean? Instead of like, going into instant victim mode where it's like, oh my God, my life is over. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to get to grow. I'm going to get to grow.
Well, that's how I see it now, big time. That's my whole perspective of, I never really resisted shadow work. Like, I mean, I kind of have been putting myself in check for a long time, but I would put myself in check, but still continue to take my, or if you want to say you take your power back, it wasn't power. I would still run on ego-driven, self-destructive things, because I wasn't willing to discipline myself enough to do the work. I knew it was necessary. I knew it was there, and I would have spurts and moments of it, but I wasn't fully in until I was in. But it took me going through the dark night of the soul and having a serious awakening, putting on, like really having a look at.
Well, this is it. This is it. And it's like, to be quite honest, most people get put off at the very, very start because, excuse me, I've just got to have a drink of water here. I'm getting so excited. I don't wet my whistle.
No worries. I know you're drinking that good water too. She's got the Keegan, yeah.
Kangen water. I've got the good stuff.
I've got the Keegan, yeah.
So, right, where was I? Where was I talking? I was talking about
getting to the dark. We can.
That's right. That's right.
About doing the work and not going into victimhood.
Exactly. So we can get really excited because people get to. Oh, I'm getting excited now. People tend to get put off at the very beginning because it can be a bit clunky, a bit awkward, a bit sort of, because we're shifting into a new way of thinking and really turning ourselves around. And instead of living unconsciously and have things happen to us, we are then turning it around and making intentional, conscious choices, conscious decisions, consciously turning our mindset around. And it can be a bit clunky at first. We all fall over, we all stumble, we all make mistakes, and we all fuck it up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I'm holding my hand up there, and I'm completely holding up my hand up there.
Agree.
Because you should have seen me at the start. I was like, I can't do this. I was throwing my little tantrum around like a 2-year-old and spitting my dummy out and then throwing my toys out and all that. I was not happy. I was not happy.
You know what was
But I
my,
stuck
you know
with
what
it.
has always been, and I think that's why doing this is so, and I will say for personal reasons, not just, I want everybody. I mean, I want to we both will reap benefits from this. While we help each other, we also help the collective,
Yes.
those that engage.
Yes.
But
Yes.
my biggest challenge has been to really get at the core of, because I feel like I've done so much inner work and healing, but it's like there's still those moments where things will happen. Well, I shared one of them with you last week, where I will feel indignant, or it's my right to be heard, and don't shut me down. I want to be heard, and I have a right to, speak my truth and all this stuff that now I just kind of, I mean, nothing's really happened for me to feel challenged in that way, really. Well, I did today, actually, in one of the class that I was in this morning. We were talking about a young girl being bullied in high school, and I immediately knew she was a crystal child, or she's teenager, but I knew it off the top. And then once she got talking, because I was feeling her energy and I was picking up certain things, and then everything that came out of her mouth confirmed what I was feeling. But she was talking about being bullied in school, and teachers, male teachers, really giving her a hard time. And I said, it's because of your energy and who you are as a being, at the soul level. And you are intimidating to people. So I have a tendency to do that. If I go into certain places, I can row. I'm a Leo, number one. Not that, but I'm a very direct, straightforward kind of, but I'm a lot of fun and a lot of love, and, but I am, some people, especially if they don't know me well, or they're hiding behind the mask, I can challenge them. I don't even have to open my mouth. They just see this, powerhouse come in, and I'm not saying that in a grandiose way. Even I don't even know my own energy sometimes. Like I realize, hey, wait a minute, there's something happening here, and I'll
That's
kind of,
it.
feel into
We
it and
have
try to.
women, especially ladies who have started to do the work or have an energy like that. We reflect back to people the unowned aspects of themselves. So, like, and this is where things
And mine is reflected back to me. I am definitely not claiming that I have arrived, by no means.
Always a perfect opportunity to grow.
Right.
Always, it's a perfect opportunity.
But I do honor the fact that I have done a great deal of work, and that I do hold that energy, and more on a consistent basis. But I still have my days where I can be. And this morning, when she was telling me the stories about the teachers, I get very charged when I hear that, especially youngins being picked on or bullied, or teachers, grown people. I'm not going to say grown adults, because we all have these large, these adult bodies, but many are walking around with still very emotionally immature, spiritually immature, mentally immature. So, and then you have those that are still being run by the mind control and the status quo, picking on these young indigo children, crystal children, whatever you want to, whatever label, these gifted children that, and she's actually in college, and she's going to graduate college before she does high school, because it's status quo that she get her high school diploma when she's already in college. She's getting her that's the kind of, and I'm like, I'm sitting there like listening to the mom laying on the table, and the daughter, and I'm just like, this is the kind of things that, I get charged with certain stuff. I'm very passionate about certain things, so I just need to figure out how to communicate a little differently, but I will.
We both will, because, like, we both love, we both like to have fun, and we both tell the truth. And it's that sometimes subtlety is required, but I personally don't do subtle. I just can't. It's not in me. And
Well, it's
I'm
not
sorry.
who I am. I'm not a
sorry. Yeah,
subtle.
me
Yeah.
either. I'm sorry, but not sorry.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
things to get through the dark night of the soul. So again, the first one, awareness. Really, to just be aware of ourselves and not necessarily take ourselves too seriously. You know what I mean? It's like, because all of this negative talk that we tell ourselves, 99.9% of it, as you say, is just not true. It's total tosh. It shouldn't be there. It's just that we just seem to think it is, but it isn't true. And so having this awareness to really be mindful, and like I say, is to be mindful is really actually listen to what those voices are saying, really listen to the stories, because then we can really understand how we can tap into those places that need healing. And the more awareness we can bring to ourselves, the more presence we can bring to ourselves in any one given moment, always gives us that great opportunity to hear, to understand, and to move through. So that's just one. So second one, face your demons, face your shit, man. Sorry. But face it. It's going to be there. It's not going to kill you. It really isn't. I mean, there are feelings inside of us that we are so terrified to look in certain places, and we think we're going to die if we do, or if we speak out, we think we're going to die. We're so terrified in some of our dark places, in some of our shadow places, that we just don't want to go there. But really, it's okay. It's okay, because if you have the strength and the courage, it's okay. Nothing is going to hurt you ever. The fear is only fear itself. If you have that courage to love yourself, to accept yourself, and to look into those dark corners where you're scared to look, you are going to be rewarded with the most amazing feelings of bliss and self-love and clarity, and just amazing insight. When we dare to look into those dark places, we are rewarded with such treasure. And each treasure is unique to us, but you've got to go and look. So
just real quick, I was going to say, when you were saying that, and it was coming to my mind, our sexuality and our sexual prowess, if that's even the right word, I think that's been just from having dialogue with people. And I'm not saying I'm fully right in this. I'm just intuitively, that seems to be the biggest stigma when it comes to shadow work.
Well, honestly, it really is, because again, this has been so it can be such a taboo subject for so many, for religious reasons.
There you go, you said it correctly.
It's so taboo for religious reasons, family reasons, shameful reasons. I mean, I, for one, I'm an incestual abuse survivor. You know what I mean? I've been there. I've been down those dark roads. I've healed from so much of that. But the thing is, when even something small happening to us, we're in our developing years, that can so distort the way we think or feel about ourselves or see about ourselves, especially sexually, how we express ourselves, how love is given to us. Most of the time, no disrespect to any parents, but our parents don't really know truly how to love us. Fathers and mothers, now this is a bit of a touchy subject, and I don't want to trigger people, but when you get into shadow work and you realize that mothers and fathers have something that is called covert incest with offspring of the opposite sex. So mothers have it with their sons, fathers have it with their daughters, and even I have had to come,
if you don't mind me.
So covert incest, it isn't actual physical sexual abuse or incest, but it's the way that the parent projects their love, or what they perceive as love, onto the child. And usually it has a sexual connotation in there, because they're not getting the right kind of relationship from their partner.
Wow.
Now, this is a big piece. And once you
we'll definitely be doing
it's a big piece. It's a
Yes.
big piece to unravel. It is so triggering, and people, you know, most parents would look at me, I'm not doing that to my kids, or, you know, but trust me, if you have children, you're probably doing it. I've had to look at this myself. I've got daughters, but even I've had to look at this myself because of the abuse that I've received. Yeah, I've had to look at the way my father's treated me, even though he didn't intend to do it that way, but because of his unconsciousness, that's how it came about. And
Emma,
this is,
I am so thankful that I had no idea about that, but you
it's a
just
big one, but yeah.
really, I just got an aha, right? About a lot that I've witnessed. I haven't dealt with that well, my father made a comment to me. I remember being a teenager. Now, my father's never touched me inappropriately, absolutely not. But he did say to me, Ida, the men, what they love is your eyes and your ass. Something along those lines. And I said, Dad, really? Like, I'm glad that's where my value comes from. Like, that's all I'm worth. I didn't say that to him, but in my mind, like, you know, but I was so used to my father being the lover and having all these different women and, you know, everybody, you know, all the women, like my father was quite an attractive man and had no problem pulling young, old, it didn't matter. Women loved him. And so, and I think that's part of why I was attracted also to the Playboy or the, you know, the not the Playboy, but the, you know, the bad boy type, emotionally unavailable, highly sexually charged.
But it also
Them
taught
controlling.
you, what do men look for in a woman then? That's what your father
Well,
also
that's
taught
right.
you.
Yes. But I always knew, but you know what, Emma, that's correct. Well, we won't go into this now because
No,
that
it's a
needs,
big one.
I
But
definitely
like I
want that.
say,
Yeah, we'll do that.
it,
We're just getting started. That's
oh
so
gosh,
amazing.
yes. So
Yes.
yeah, so covert is, so if a married couple isn't really having a fulfilling relationship, the covert incest is when they turn that affection onto the children. So it's not actual physical touching or abuse like that, but the energy and the intent is there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very
Wanting that closeness and that connection. Uh, and I get it. I
it's a
get
big
it.
piece. It's a
Yeah,
big piece.
yeah, yeah.
So face our demons. What was next? We can help ourselves as well by tuning in to our inner GPS, which is, it's kind of like your intuition, but it's a little bit deeper than that. Your intuition kind of tells you what's right, what's wrong, or if a situation's a bit dangerous or things like that. Our inner GPS is that feeling that we get when we're called to do something, when we're called to go somewhere, where we have a feeling we should talk to somebody or do something or take an action. You know, our inner GPS is always kind of guiding us. Oh, maybe we should go down this street today. Maybe we should make this phone call today. It's this. So it's a little bit different to intuition. But at times, if we can tune into this inner GPS, and sometimes it speaks to us through books or through movies, even, like I say, walking down a different street sometimes, or, you know, anything like that. Our inner GPS is always kind of giving us little nudges on where to go and what to do. And if we can tune into that, again, we can align more with our values, our purpose, and yeah, and our soul work, really, whatever we're called to do. So, and the thing is, a very important thing that a lot of people forget to do when they're in a dark night of the soul is to find something and go and have some fun. Go and enjoy something, because when we're in victim mode, we can actually forget, we can get so deep into it. Oh, no, I don't really want to have fun. No, I don't really want to go out. No, I don't really want to do this. Well, actually,
I went through that for a little while. Not
yeah,
that I didn't want to. I wanted to, but I just,
sometimes you just
like,
don't
I
have
was
that
completely
energy.
turned
Yeah.
off by the bars and the drinking and the drug. Like I used to party. I used to
Yeah.
party.
But like I say, when
And I've
we
had a lot
turn
of
this
sex in my
around,
life, and I'm quite open about that.
but like I say, when we turn this around, and when our consciousness starts to shift and change, all of those things fall away, so they don't mean anything
Did
anymore.
fall away, and I'm so thankful. I have to.
Exactly. So it's not all, it's
anybody.
not
I'm just so thankful, Emma.
it's
Well,
not
like you
always a
said,
bad
like,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's lovely to embrace doing the work, and not in a way like, you know, it's just so rewarding and so liberating to be able to do the work and really experience the change within. It has nothing to do with the outside. When those things take the integration and the healing start taking place, the type of people you attract changes, the way you see life changes, the joy that you experience is really created from within.
Different. It's so different.
Nothing out there that makes you happy. People can, you can have experiences that bring happiness for sure by other people. It's exciting when somebody brings you flowers or brings you a gift or buys you a meal or just stops by to say hello or invites you for coffee. Those are exciting experiences that we all enjoy. That's it. It's not having the biggest house or the fanciest car. Nothing wrong with abundance. I do claim abundance, and I am moving more into the allowing of it, because I had issues with that for a long time. My own personal lack of self-worth, value, or thinking that I had to go without because, that meant that, I was a material, like I judged people that had money saying, well, they got money and they're not doing anything to help anybody, really? Like, so I had this indignant, that's changed for sure. But you know what I'm saying? Like there was, I don't know, the whole, what is it? The money is the root to all evil type crap that I don't believe in.
That's
anymore.
rubbish. Yeah, that's rubbish. Again, money only has meaning that we put on it.
Yeah.
Money is just an energy, a currency.
Right. And we can always choose ours for the right reasons. That's what I tell myself all the time, Ida. Don't worry about how other people are spending their money. You do what you feel is right. And as I am blessed, I want to bless others. And I know I'm being given that opportunity in big ways, not just financially. I'm saying we do this through what we're doing right now, because abundance isn't just monetary gain. It's joy, having healthy relationships, enjoying a nice walk, feeling liberated in our hearts, feeling relieved that we passed the exam and we did a good job, or whatever it is. Those are abundance. Okay, why is it saying that? Your internet is okay. Anyways, I could go on. I'll be quiet because I know I go on little rampages. But
finding joy. No, but that's exactly right. No, that's exactly right. Though it's finding enjoyment, finding the fun again, and like I say, if we ever feel like we're feeling like we're getting stuck, or we are stuck, don't give up. One thing, you just don't give up. Just stumble. Do the stumbly thing and put one foot in front of the other and just keep moving. And that's all it takes. If you fall or stumble, that's perfectly fine because you're still moving. You're still moving.
Well, I heard that saying recently that if you fall down, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to get yourself up.
Yes.
It's not your fault. You might trip over something when you go out the door. But are you to lay there and wait for somebody to come help you? Or
exactly. You can fall over, but you don't have to lie there.
That's right. You don't have to. And again, to bring it back to ourselves, we are responsible for our well-being. Nobody else is. And that was a hard one for me to really, like, I always knew that and always have been pretty independent. I grew up very quickly. I was exposed to things at a very young age that, I would never want any child to be exposed to. But I've always had that get up and go person. It was survival. I mean, nobody was going to bring anything to my doorstep. So, I did things, and now I don't feel like I'm surviving. I finally feel like I'm really living, and this is just the beginning. Like I feel I'm so thankful. That's all I can say. And I don't have anything. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I live in Jacksonville, Florida. you know, I have family here and I see them when I do, and I love my family very much, but I don't have children. I'm not in a relationship. I'm by myself a lot of the time, but I have learned to really enjoy that, my time. But I've recently, you know, start meeting some more people that I enjoy, you know, spending some time with, and they're amazing. I've got a CBD cafe right up the street where I get to go and, you know, just engage with locals and see where people's minds are. But there's high vibe people there, and it's lovely. But anyways,
this is it, and that's really my last kind of note here. It's like, you know, if we start feeling like this, is just be really gentle with ourselves, you know,
yes,
rather than
gentleness. I
numb
just
ourselves
posted
with
about that.
alcohol, food, or
I just
yeah.
posted about that. Now you're saying that. That's got. I'm
But
having a
exactly.
little
So rather
like,
than
yeah, synchronicities. Sorry, we keep cross. Yes, go
no,
ahead.
it's
I just
perfect. I love
posted
it when
about
that
that.
happens. So yeah, so
Gentleness.
rather than so be gentle with ourselves. So rather than numb ourselves with alcohol, food, sex, yada yada yada, we can still take pleasure in those, but don't get so deep into them as to use them as comfort. You know, enjoy them, but don't use them as comfort. So be gentle with ourselves, do the self-love, take ourselves out on a walk. If we really feel the need to drown ourselves in alcohol or drown ourselves in drugs or anything like that, then be aware of that and just realize, it's actually, do I really need it, or can I do something that's really going to lift me up today, that's actually really going to fill my cup rather than tip it out. So and so when we find ourselves in these spaces, it's so important to really look after our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health in every way, so that we, when we are transitioning this, or transversing, I think is the word I'm looking for, transversing this dark night of the soul, we can do in such a way that is beneficial rather than detrimental. So yeah, so clean food, clean water, that kind of thing. Be clean to yourself, you know, don't take enjoyment in things, but don't indulge in things for comfort. So yeah.
Yeah.
One
yeah. Go ahead.
Please, yes, go on. No,
I was just gonna
well,
say.
the last note was really is don't make the mistake of wanting to escape, or, you know, feeling that escape is the way out, because it isn't. Escape is the way in. You know, you don't, escape is not the way out. You have to go in. Did that make sense? Yeah.
Yes, I get it. I'm sure they get it. I'm sure every people will understand. Well, I just had a conversation with my young lady. She's 19 years old, my neighbor. There's a young couple that moved in next door to me, and we were talking last night, and she's drawn to me and she asks questions, and I feel that she knows that I will give her the best I got. And I was telling her last night, you know, 'cause she kept saying, I believe in God up there. And I was saying to her, Jennifer, God, he's not up there somewhere, or she, whatever it is you believe, it's within. You are that as your own I am, right? And it's so important that people self-actualize. And am I fully there? I don't think so, but I'm definitely well on my way. Like, to fully self-actualize. And the more I remind myself and I embody the Christ light that I hold, and the more I am consciously aware, and I'm walking, talking, you know, I've heard somebody talk about, I'm a walking, talking prayer. Not meaning that we're always, meaning that everything we do, we walk gently on the earth, gentle with ourselves, gentle with others. That doesn't mean that we don't laugh and be silly, or, you know, that we can't, you know, but that our heart space is light as a feather, that we are really coming from a place of pure intention and not looking, because I still catch myself like I'll admit it, today I went to go explain to the lady that I'm going to be training with, and I'm not going to share what I'm training at right now, but you know what I'm talking about. And I don't know why I even say that, but anyways, I'm taking a class, and I was explaining to her that some of my finances are changing. And instead of just saying to her, I'm concerned about spending all this money with you because my finances are changing and I don't, I go on this long explanation, and it's a way of manipulating. And I caught myself doing it. And I'm like, okay, nope, let me just be. And I did. I nipped it in the bud, and I was like, I'm just letting you know that I'm concerned, and it's a genuine concern. And be it a fear, it's not fear, but I talked to you about it prior to the show. And I'm glad I did, because you always give me lovely advice or lovely feedback, and always leave it in my hands to decide for myself. But you're right in what you said to me. So I am going to follow through, and because it's something I'm excited about. But my point is like, and saying all that, is that shadow work, if you want to keep calling it, as you move through it and you integrate and you start the healing process and you start noticing the benefits of it. Excuse me, my throat, I'm losing my voice. Noticing the benefits of it, or you start saying, okay, it's like, excuse me, it's like going to the gym. You got to keep going, and then you start noticing that you're losing some weight, that you're tightening up, that you're, getting some results from. You're not going to get results your first, second, third, fourth time. You got to keep going, and it takes time, and sometimes longer than for other people. It just depends. Everybody's on their own journey. But
give yourself a minute. That's it. That's like most people stop at the very, very beginning. It's like, just give yourself a minute. Just give yourself a minute.
But it gets to the point where it's not even, we could change the dialogue from calling it shadow work to simple self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
When we stay in self-awareness,
whatever's comfortable, doesn't really matter. Yeah.
But if you're second guessing yourself, or you're questioning yourself, or you've done enough shadow work that when you do fall back into, say, manipulation, or whatever it is, overeating, because I've gone through that recently. I quit smoking cigarettes in March. I'm super proud of it, and I can't stop saying it. But I definitely have enjoyed eating, sweet and salty popcorn, whole bags of them, in a sitting. Not really, but almost. Just because, just eating, watching my videos, whatever. Just got off track, going out of town. I've enjoyed myself. Now it's like I've been walking again every night. Like, get back on track. If you fall off, the point is, if you feel like you're being derailed somehow, or it's too hard, or you're hitting a plateau and you don't know how to go any deep, reach out to Emma. Reach out to me on Facebook. I mean, I'm not doing, offering a service like Emma, at least not right now. I'm still doing my own, I'm not there yet. But
other people tend to have a really, really good knack and a good skill of seeing things that we can't within ourselves. Even me, even I need my mentors, because there are things that I can't see that they're absolutely just like so clear at seeing, and it's like it's right in my blind spot. And I can do, it's like we can do the same for the people, other people do the same for us. It's
that's right.
There's always somewhere to go. There's always somewhere to move through. It's never, ever, 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 ever hopeless. Ever.
Okay, so we've now moved into the last 10 minutes. Not the last 10 minutes. And the past 10 minutes, we've moved more into an open dialogue. So I wanted to just pull up some of these questions that I sent to you, and see if we can go through some of them, see if there are any of them you want to elaborate on, or information. Please. I think, So, okay, so we've already kind of shared in a short. So there's 5 questions here, and I'm not going to answer them. I'll leave it up to you. You share. What is the dark night of the soul, which you just went through, but in a maybe 1, 2, or 3 sentence, what is it? What is the dark night of the soul?
The dark night of the soul is a shift in consciousness that we have asked for, where everything about our subconscious programming comes into our awareness. So all of our negative stories and all of the negative beliefs that we hold about ourselves then start to become in our field, in our awareness. And this is when people kind of freak out about this, or realize that there's all this stuff going on. That is called the dark night of the soul, because it's easy to fall into a low vibrational energy, go into victimhood, feel like your whole life is falling apart. But that's very much, in very simple terms, that's what it is. It's the unconscious mind becoming conscious. It's all our negative beliefs coming into our awareness.
That is a fabulous description and very detailed, and I think perfect. I couldn't have said it better. What is the purpose for Dark Night of the Soul from the universe or spiritual standpoint?
It's an opportunity. It's our doorway to grow. The dark night of the soul only happens because we want it, and it's the doorway. It's a doorway into spiritual enlightenment. It's a doorway into releasing all of our fears and negative beliefs. It's an opportunity to grow. That's exactly what it is.
That's fabulous. Thank you. Fabulous response again. How long does it last?
It depends. It can last 2 or 3 days. It can last 2 or 3 years. It can last even longer than that. We can come in and out of the dark night of the soul. Like I say, we can have some for a few weeks and then come out of it, and then a year later go back into one. So it all depends on our perception. But like I say, and it all depends on exactly how much energy and consciousness we're actually shifting. So it all depends, because everybody's different. For me, I've had one. I'm going through a bit of a one right now, actually, because I'm shifting, I'm changing, up leveling. So there's certain things that are falling away in my life. So, but again, it depends. If you're aware of it and you can take action with yourself, it can really bring down the time of how long we spend in that mindset. But it can last anything up to 2-3 years, maybe even longer. It all depends on when we realize and go, oh, okay, I can do something about this.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What causes an awakening into the dark night of the soul?
Any kind of really big event. It could be as much as losing a parent. It could be as much as being made redundant from a job that you've had for 10 years. It could be the ending of a marriage. It could be something so significant. Or like I say, because big changes like that, big things in our lives that happen like that, do change our perspective. I remember when my mum passed away, and that was one of the biggest things that had ever happened in my life, ever, at that point. But I realized it changed my perspective so much. It made me, even though I was grieving, it also made me realize that I had gratitude in my life, that life was a bit too short, that really, something good could come out of it, and that, really just how much security I could give myself now that my mum wasn't there, how much love and how much security I had to give myself. So there are big things like this, but it can also be just the simple fact that we're looking for something more.
Yeah,
we're starting that search, and we have that, as the Matrix says, we have that splinter in our mind, and it's like we know there's something that we want, that we're looking for, but we're not quite sure, but we desperately want it, and it's usually that can be a catalyst.
So you just made me realize that I probably have what I know to be my dark night of the soul, or the active, or the beginning of it, that I've probably had many ones, if you will, until the big
exactly
DNA. Yeah. When does one start the integration process?
when you
Integrating.
choose.
Yeah.
That's a really simple answer to that. When you choose to do the work, when
Okay. And
anybody
yeah.
decides to say, okay, I've had enough of one set of feelings, emotions, thoughts, I'm done with that.
So
What
how do
can
you
I do?
integrate though? What is that process? Can you share, elaborate a little bit on?
How to integrate? There are many different tools to open ourselves up, to connect to different aspects that have been broken off, but it depends on, this is why shadow work is it's not just an all-in-one, a one thing fixes all, because it's not, because there's ancestral, there's like I say, there's the covert incest, there's even a tool called feeling states, where it's a similar kind of thing to affirmations, but you do them in a certain way, and certain things that pertain personally to you, that will bring up and surface emotions and surface thoughts and surface old traumas. So I can't go too much into that, because that's quite patented and you'd have to actually pay for that, but these things called feeling states that actually bring up and really start to surface our emotions. And like I say, you have meditation, you have guided meditation. There's repurposing of the ego. So there's lots of different things to become aware of ourselves, depending on where we want to dive into, why we want to dive into it. The aspect, the inner child, ancestral, timeline, entity removal. It depends on, and there's so many different aspects under each one of those different titles, and there's so much unraveling in different pieces in that. So this is what I mean, it's not just a one size fits all. So how do we integrate it? Basically, in very simple terms, how we integrate it is by being aware of the story that we're telling us, kind of reverse engineering that back to the trauma or the circumstance or the situation that brought about that pain or trauma in the first place. Going into that feeling, no matter what it is, rage, pain, despair, anger. And the way we integrate it is by actually going into that feeling and releasing it. And so whether that could be primal screaming, crying, just feeling it, it depends on what wants to come out. But the only way we integrate or bring back that broken aspect is by accepting, going into it, acknowledging it, feeling it, accepting it, forgiving ourselves for leaving that broken aspect there, because some of this could be inner child work. So sometimes we have to, in our meditation, go in and find that scared little inner girl and go and scoop her up in our arms like she's our own very own baby, and then nurture her and love her and protect her, and apologize for leaving her in this broken dark place all this time because we didn't know she was there. Bringing that back, or bringing her back, expressing the feeling. And like I say, and once we've actually truly expressed the feeling, it when it comes out. And I'm kind of doing the actions, because it's kind of like it comes out, it comes straight from your belly, from your heart, and it's kind of like it's not like vomiting it out, but it just comes out. You can't help it. Once you find that true feeling and you actually express it, you get such a light feeling, and the weight of the world is just lifted off your shoulders. So once you've moved something, once you've truly gone into the trauma and released it and expressed it and acknowledged it and forgave it and loved it. And because afterwards you kind of come out feeling like, well, sometimes you can feel like you just come out having some great sex, because you just kind of lie there and it's like, oh my God, you're relieved, and it feels so good to have cried, and it's just like, and you can breathe and everything feels so soft, and and it's just blissful, and I can't, there's words I can't say for it really, but I know what the feeling is because I've experienced so much. But
it's liberating. It's a feeling of release for sure. Yes.
Release, relief.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and you all of a sudden you have this great big opening and this great big space inside of you, and then you get to fill it. You get to take all that negativity out, and then you get to fill it with whatever new beliefs you want, whatever new feelings you want, all that positivity, all that love, all that charge,
yes.
all that soul reclamation. You bring it all back, and it feels so juicy.
Yes, yes. I know there's more for me, but I've had some probably lesser experiences of that. If I say lesser, I don't know if that's the right word, but
It's never lesser.
yeah,
It's yours.
yeah.
So it's never lesser.
But I am waiting for that day of that real full complete release. Like I've had many, what I would call mini episodes of it, but I'm, I know it's happening for sure.
Sometimes sometimes we have to release the pressure a little bit by little bit, because if we go in straight away, it's like, and you think of a pressure cooker, right? And you go to take that lid off, it's just going to explode in your face.
Yeah.
And it's going to end up, and you're going to end up burnt, and you're going to, it's just, no, sometimes you just let off that pressure a little bit of a time, take a little bit of piece out, take another small piece out, release a bit of pressure, and then when we get into the big one, by the time we get there, it's just like, oh my God, that's okay, I can let it out now. Oh my, it's not so much, and it's all good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But and yes, and like I say, sometimes it takes a minute. Like I say, there are some releases that can be small, that can be just, oh God, it's just a bit better, just even an understanding. But then we have the deep ones that we've held so long, that we really hold on so dearly, for dear life, because we're so frightened to let them go. Yeah.
When you think about, okay, so yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you, Emma, because I know we both are we both have a lot to share, and my mind gets going, and then I get this urge to, so I don't mean to interrupt you, please.
Please do. Please do.
But what do you think about spiritual bypassing when it comes to shadow work and people, like, I'm not accusing any in particular person. There are certain people that I've seen comments, I'll just say that, certain comments on, from different people, and I'm just, let's be clear, what is spiritual bypassing for the listeners?
Well, this is the thing, you see, it's a confusing term to me, because you can't bypass it. You can't bypass your own spiritual development. There's nothing.
Right. I agree.
There's no shortcuts.
Maybe that's not the right. That may not. Then maybe I'm not saying it correctly. But when I say spiritual bypassing, I'm talking about people that use spiritualism like everything is light and love and beautiful, and and it's like, okay, wait a minute, no. I mean, yes, we have the love and light, and yes, but there are still,
okay. I'm gonna
stick our head in the sand about and realize that. Okay, go ahead, please do.
I'm going to probably say something that may upset a few people, but believe you me, I've lived in spiritual places. Yeah, i.e., Bali is a big one. It's a big spiritual place.
Okay.
And there actually are some really beautiful people there. There are. I cannot deny it, who do some absolutely amazing work. But then you get the ones that I just have got the spiritual ego. They go around in their floaty dresses.
Spiritual ego. That's what I should have.
They go around in their floaty dresses and wearing wearing all the garb and saying, "Oh yes, I love and like this, and I love and like that," and I'm just so accepting of everything. And I eat quinoa. Yeah. It's those type that actually they go around thinking that they're spiritual, and because they just say things and they understand certain things that they actually are, but they're still so afraid of themselves. They're still hiding behind all of those masks.
That's correct.
You
said yes.
They're still so afraid of actually showing their true selves, because, oh, I'm so lovely and I'm so beautiful and I've got a beautiful way of talking and I've got a beautiful way of being and I'm so nice. It's like, no, love. You've got your dark bits just like the rest of us, just own that shit, you
Yeah.
know. And it's
Yeah.
like, and it's those ones that really get my goat up, because it's like, no, you're not all love and light, because if you're all love and light, you're not in integrity, you're not authentic, you're full of shit.
Well, I agree. I absolutely agree with you. Now,
That's my
I'm not
opinion.
saying that people have to walk around and like be in their, operating from their dark, because I
No,
don't.
no.
Yeah, they don't. But I don't. I think that where true unconditional love and pure intent comes from is a neutral place. It's not all love or all light or all dark. The goal is for me, and I could be completely off, but I don't think I am, just because of my own inner work and work that I've done. It's if we can just keep ourselves in harmony and balance. Listen, I have fun talking shit sometimes. I have fun laughing and joking, and I like to still get dressed up. I mean, there was this is how it got for me for a while. No makeup, no hair. Like I was doing nothing with myself. I was just home, but I needed that for myself to be able to sit still with myself and recognize my own shadow, own ego, my own quirks of, what I put so much value and emphasis on, right? But now I'm enjoying makeup again. I'm enjoying getting dressed again. I'm enjoying doing, feeling. I quit dating. I quit having sex. I mean, all kinds of stuff that.
But you're more feminine now than you've ever been.
Right. Okay. And that's fair enough.
That's your sexuality. That's your sensuality. It isn't about the act. Going back to that previous conversation, you see, it can be so distorted. But our sexuality,
I definitely had to distort it. Yeah.
It's not about. It's not even about the act. It's about, like, I'm touching 50. I'm like you. We're at that age, and it's like, I'm hot. I'm gorgeous, and believe you me, you come near me and I'd eat you alive.
Yeah,
and you'd love it.
I love her.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
you'd love it. So, but but at the end of the day, you can't afford this.
Right.
Oh, you can't afford
her. I love her.
You can't afford this. This costs honor. This costs respect.
Yes.
That's
right. Oh, absolutely. Oh, believe me, I do not see myself the way I did many years ago in any way. I mean, I just don't. I mean, but I always, that's a whole nother story. It doesn't even, it does matter. It matters to me. But the point is I know that I was using projects, programs, and so forth, not blaming outside of myself, but I know that trauma-based mind control was part of my,
let me give you an idea of my idea of sexy. You can see a young, beautiful 20-something lady walking down the street, and she's all dressed up in the finest garb and all that kind of thing. And okay, that's hot, that's sexy, that's attractive. But if she hasn't got that certain je ne sais quoi, you can look at a lady of our age. We can be walking down the street, and all of a sudden we get noticed or we get felt because we're flicking that tail. We're walking down that street, and we know we don't have to say anything. We're just walking. We're flicking that tail. We're walking down there, and we know it. We're just flick. Like the cat does, and it's just like, I
love you.
I'm just gonna flick my tail. You know what I mean? There you go, flick it. There you go. Flick it, you know what I mean? And you can be sort of have the longest skirt on, you can have all your boobs covered up and all that kind of thing, but if you're flicking that tail, you're going to get so many more notices.
I think there's a sex appeal that a woman that is what's the word I want to use, that a woman that is well aged, well preserved, I don't know what word I want to use,
good cheese, good wine, you know what I mean?
We are right. We have earned our
sex is in here.
Yes.
It isn't this.
There's I truly, I mean, I'm 52 years old and I love every bit of it. And
marvelous.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But anyways, I feel very good in my skin today. I'll just say that. I do. I'm very, yep. So, and I am open to meeting a new beloved, and I will one day. When it's supposed to happen, it will happen. I'm not in any rush. I'm quite enjoying my life and just.
But that's another thing, you see, relationships, especially with our romantic partners, we will always, no matter where we are on our own evolution, we will always attract a partner that will mirror that evolution.
Yeah.
Always. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and
So
that's the thing. It's like,
depending on what we want, we have to come up and match that. We have to, whatever we want, we have to match it.
yeah, I get that. I get that. But I often remind myself, like, the days of trying to either fix somebody or teach a man how to be a man, you know, raising little boys and grown men's bodies, those days are over, because I had to take care of the little girl that was in me for a long time, you know, that was being ignored because I was too busy trying to, you know, and it doesn't make them wrong. It was me deflecting from having to do the inner work or being willing to, or really understanding how to. I'm just so glad that that has turned around for me in a big way. And I invite everybody that listens to this video to really consider, you know, our health is our wealth. So choosing, and when I say health, I'm not talking about just eating, absolutely eating healthy, organic.
This health.
That's right.
This
Every
health.
part of us.
Yeah.
Our emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, our health is our wealth. That is our value. And invest in yourself, because you will realize, hey, wait a minute, I'm not so easily willing to give up an aspect of myself and compromise my genuine my heart, compromise what I want for myself, which is not unreasonable to have just anybody in my life. I'm just not doing it.
Boom.
You've got to
There
be,
you go,
for me,
babe.
a very special somebody.
Yes.
You know, and more importantly, it's important for me to be a special somebody for myself and for those that friendships, relationships, lovers, it doesn't matter. I want to show up as that, you know, I want you to know that I am your friend, and we are building a friendship, right? We're getting to know each other. Emma and I have been friends on Facebook for I don't even know how long, a very long time. And we've gradually just kept, you know, like, kept coming back together, you know, commenting on each other's posts and so forth. And I learned so much from you. I'm like, I want to meet this lady. I want to engage with her. I want to learn from her. Yes, I mean that. I mean that. And I love your energy and your confidence and your authentic, genuine self. I love the way you present yourself is so raw and real, and I just love it. And you're fun, and you're spunky, you know? I love that. I'm not a boring person. I love women. I attract my own kind. I love to have fun. I love lifting other women up. I will tell a woman she is gorgeous in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
I don't feel like I have to compete with anybody. I'm not interested in competition. I just love my sisters in a real big way. So thank you so much for what you're doing. We have about 20 minutes before the show is over, so I want to be quiet because I really, and if you have anything to say is around Dark Night of the Soul, or any last comments that you want to make about Dark Night of the Soul, how people, of course, again, can get in touch with you. I will put it underneath just know, anybody that's listening to this video, if you're interested, and I know that, you know, this is more of an open discussion than, say, an interview. It's not meant to be set up like an interview as far as the structure of the video. This is a created series that we are doing. Last week we started with the introduction of shadow work. This is part 1, in which I think Emma did great in giving detail about how to begin it, what the Dark Night of the Soul is, how to move forward. we will be discussing in future segments some pretty deep discussions
Oh.
on some things that may be uncomfortable and can be triggering. And our intention is not to trigger or to cause anybody to, go into a.
It's only to empower.
That's right.
It's to educate and empower.
That's absolutely correct. That is what I'm here for. I know that's what Emma's here for. That's what we're here for, is to educate you, to empower you, to share some of our own stories so that you can relate and maybe resonate. And if you have questions, when we start doing the lives, that you can ask questions. I'll do my best to answer. I know Emma will. And if we're not able to, we will do our best to guide you in a direction that you'll be able to find some answers for yourself. Most importantly, go within, weigh things against your heart, and just ask your soul self, is this information valuable to me? And if so, how can I use it to help, begin my own process and my own healing and my own spiritual development? And you never arrive. I say that again. I've been on this journey for a long time, and it's always a revamping, and more gets learned about myself, or more integration takes place, more amazing people show up in my life, my energy field. Some, I have I create bonds with, and some we go our, but if we're always open to knowing that there's something to be learned, it's, a lesson or a blessing. I believe that. And I believe it's both.
Yeah.
Whoever, meaning situations that show up, that you get to a point where you realize that everything that shows up in your field is there to teach you something.
Yes.
Yes. And it's beautiful. So again, what, anything that you want,
Okay, well, my last few notes really are, so when you, or if anybody realizes, or anybody feels that after everything that we've talked about this evening, and you feel like you're going through a dark night of the soul, or you're feeling like something, things are just too heavy, and it's such a struggle to move through them, is, like I say, the secret is to not give up. Even, it doesn't matter how dark or how depressing it may seem, it never is. There is always something that we can do to help ourselves. And one of the, I say the easiest, but sometimes it can be one of the trickiest things to do, is when we have these feelings come up, most of the time our automatic way of dealing with these things is to shut it off and shut it back down, swallow those tears and that pain back down, and not to let it out. And I'm not going to let anybody see me cry, or I'm not going to let anybody do this, or I can't let this up. The most important thing that we can do for ourselves is actually allow and surrender to those feelings.
Surrender. Great word. Yes.
So, and because I had a lot of confusion with the word surrender. It's like, well, what does surrender mean? What does that mean? And what it means really is just that if you feel that emotion coming up, is just allow it to come up. Instead of just going on automatic default and trying to shove that shit back down, allow it to come up. Surrender. Just give up to the feeling. Don't give up. Just give up to the feeling. Give up and let it come out, no matter what it is. Sometimes it can even come out as laughter, you know what I mean? Because, we want to cry so much, but sometimes it can even come out as like relief and laughter. So it isn't always painful. Believe me, it isn't always. But to surrender and just allow that feeling to come up and acknowledge it and let it wash over you, because it's not going to hurt you. Pain, when we do this work, when we do shadow work, people seem to think when we dip into that pain, it's going to be there forever. And actually it's not. Once you actually allow and surrender and let it out, it actually, once it's expressed, it leaves. the feeling and all of the story and all of the niggling stuff, it actually leaves you feeling that pain is only temporary, and so it just leaves you, and that leaves you then, and once you've expressed it, it leaves you with the bliss, it leaves you with that open space, and it leaves you just feeling, oh my God, why on earth, where did that come from? Why was I holding on to that for so long?
Right.
So where I say it's the simplest thing to do, but sometimes it can be tricky, because some of the things we want to hold on to for dear life, because we're so used to holding on to it, because we're so used to feeling the pain, and because it's more comfortable with the devil that rather than, and people are so afraid of the unknown, so afraid of letting go of that pain, because they don't know what it's like without it. And that can be quite scary. So, like I say,
it becomes their identity.
Yes.
It becomes their identity.
Yes.
All the stories become their identity. It's not who you are. What somebody has experienced in life, and I've never been one to say, lay down and play victim. Like, I feel that I've been victimized, but I've never, that was never a comfortable place for me. I was like, I'm not a victim. I'm going to get my ass up. I'm going to get going, and I'm going to figure this out. But I was very angry for a long time. I betrayed myself. I realized that in a big way. I abandoned myself. Nobody else did it.
And that's something else that we need to heal, because feeling abandoned from our parents, feeling abandoned from God, the cosmic abandonment, the abandonment from ourselves,
That's going to be a whole series. I mean, a whole segment on its own is abandonment.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the sexual, whatever you talk. There's so much. I'm so happy to be doing this with you. Again, I can't say that enough. Emma, we don't have to go all the way to 4 o'clock. I think we've ran our time today.
I think
we got a lot out. I think just so people know, next week we will not have a show because Emma has some personal things going on.
I have, so I do apologize about that, but I will be back on the week after. Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
So nothing to apologize about. We do have lives as well. We're doing this from our hearts, and for our own personal spiritual development and growth, and also to invite others to join us.
There's just one tiny thing that I do have at the end that I just want to say before we close off. So just for anybody that can relate to this, or thinks that they're going through something like this, or thinks that somebody else or a friend of theirs is going through something like this, the dark night of the soul can be difficult. It may be the most difficult thing that we ever have to experience in our lives. We may not feel, or you may not feel that you can do this, but you truly can. Begin to see that it's your mind going crazy. It is your ego trying to hold on. You could say that this is a spiritual awakening, which is another way of saying shifting consciousness. You are changing. The old you is disappearing. That's why everything is in turmoil, because it's all falling away. You have nothing to hold on to. You feel like you are floating in nothingness. Please know that you are not alone in this. Please pay attention. Others have gone through this. Others are going through this. You are not alone. They have survived. You will survive too. Pay attention. Pay attention to what feels magnetic to us. Pay attention to the calling of what calls us, because this is life bringing us wisdom to overcome this particular dark night of the soul. So the dark night of the soul, for me, it's a gift. It isn't all doom and gloom. It's a gift. We have been given an opportunity to become something absolutely amazing and incredible.
That was absolutely lovely. Thank you. That's so important. You are not alone. I need to reiterate that. And so many of us have already experienced it, and we still have our moments. Nobody arrives. Nobody's up here, and you're down here.
No.
We are here to help you, to support you, and to invite you onto a platform, into a space where love surrounds you, and we do our best to answer any questions or share as much content
and lovingly kick your ass into gear.
Well, and that too. That's right. One thing you will get, you'll definitely get it from him, and you surely will get it from me, is very direct, but direct, you know,
yeah, we just
direct,
start. We're direct,
yes.
we're loving, we're fun, we're not here to mess around. We're just
but
not
I
here
wouldn't
to mess
be helping
around.
it myself, or I mean, it's just my nature, number one, and I know it's your nature, but who wants to deal with somebody that's, blowing like, you know, sugarcoat, and you get nothing. Nobody gains anything from that. So let's just keep it genuine and authentic. Let's come from a pure heart space to the best of our ability. Let's recognize our own shadow, do our own work, be willing to say, you know what, I apologize, I was wrong, or I realized that I was going into, a little bit of fear, and therefore I felt the need to manipulate the situation, whatever it is. I have to put myself on check. Every day I am consciously aware of my choices. And sometimes I have to stop myself right in my tracks and say, nope, we're going to choose something different today. It's going to be a different, and I'm not perfect at it, but I'm definitely willing to have a look and, and own my own.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's all it takes for somebody to say, do you know something? I'm going to do it now. I'm willing. I'm willing and just want to take those steps. And it's just a simple choice. That's all it is.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you. So we're going to end it here. I think that was fabulous. Yep. And so we'll be in touch. But so just remember, anybody that's looking forward to it, I really do hope that it's my biggest prayer and heart's intention to bring value to people's lives, for this to be helpful for Emma and I. And just to connect and engage, and just let people know that there is people, like Emma, that does this type of work that helps people through their journey and their process, and helps them, get a foot and get on their feet, and feel, stable.
Whole.
Be able to,
stable,
and
whole.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
In charge, in your own driving seat.
That's right. Empowered. Right. So we will be back, not next week, but the following week. So that will be the first week of July. The first week of July. That's exciting. And we'll go from there. And our next segment, we'll have a good topic, and we'll get some more good content out there for people that are interested. You have a super fabulous. I will put anybody that wants. So Emma, share your contact information. We'll probably do this at the end of every segment, because you never know. We might get new people.
Okay, well, like I say, you can find me on Facebook, which is just Emma Broomhall. My Facebook profile is public. You can find me. You can contact either through Ida, or, like I say, Facebook. I'm on Instagram, which is Emma Living Free 1001. I'm just trying to think. Is there anywhere else really? No, Facebook is the best place to get me. Because I'm just there. I'm also in LinkedIn, but I'm only just really starting there. But no, Facebook, Emma Broomhall, or Instagram. You can find me through a Conscious Heart Solutions, through Ida, or, like I say, contact us if you need help, you've got questions, anything, you need any kind of support. Please don't be shy. Get in touch.
Yes, and anybody that's listening, of course, you can contact me on Facebook as well. Send me a private message. I will be glad to contact Emma if you're not able to get through to her for whatever reason, or maybe she's tied up and hasn't got back to you, and you're serious about working with her. Do not hesitate to reach out, and we will definitely, respond in a timely manner. Emma, enjoy your next week. I know you've got a lot going on, and I will see you the first week of July, and I'll see everybody back then. Thank you, and have a lovely, lovely weekend.
Yeah, you too, babe.
All right, very good. Thank you. All right.
Love you, bye. Love you, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I think we're Oh, it's still recording. Have a blessed weekend. I'll see
All
you.
right, you too, babe. See you
All
too,
right.
babe.
All right. Bye-bye.